Hi, what's up guys? This is Jake.
This is Charles.
We are at Adrenaline Factory today to make a little tutorial, not that much about the board, but about the different application you might need to use to change a setting or work on your board. There's 3 different ones. I don't know much about it, so that's why Charles is here with me. He will tell you a little bit about it. So Charles, go ahead.
So we are going to be working with iOS first. We're going to talk about the Stormcore app. Then we're going to go on Android and we're going to teach you about Vesc tool a little bit. And then for both platforms, we're going to teach you about the XIAOXIANG, which is available for both iOS and Android.
All right, let's go. All right, Charles. So the first one, which is the one that we've been building, is the Stormcore app.
Yeah.
What should I do on the app as soon as I receive it to make sure my board is well connected to the app? Tell me.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to first start up the board. So your board is going to power on. It's going to go through some color indications and then it's going to stay solid. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to open our Stormcore app right here. As you can see, you might see Stormcore already appear on the screen. This is by far the easiest. You're just going to click on your board and then you're already connected inside the board. You have voltages, you have everything. So the first thing you need to change, if you have a Super Sport, you might need to do a few changes here. You can see that the battery percentage is a bit high. So what we have to do is we have to change a few settings here. So we're going to touch the world icon and we are going to go to battery config and we're going to change it from 12 series to 18 because it's an 18 series board. And for battery, we can just bump this number down, the max cell voltage to 4.1. At least for the time being, because that's where the first charge is going to be rounded at.
Okay, perfect. So this is for the Super Sport.
Yes.
But let's say I have OG Lone Star or OG Nazare. What should I change?
So let's say we're there. We have our OG 12S, Nazare, or Lone Star. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to double check and make sure that the settings are right for the battery. So what we would do is we would go back here. We're going to go change the series back to 12. Usually it comes stock on 12, but you always want to be sure. And then you can leave the cell max voltage at 4.1. And then after that, once everything is set up, you should be reading accurate battery voltages. So for now, we're going to change it back to 18 here. I'm going to press done and close. And we have the correct battery percentage on for the Super Sport that we have here.
All right, perfect. And what are the other information that the Stormcore app can provide me that might be useful for my ride?
Right, so we have everything from temperature. Temperatures don't really matter as much. The only one that really matters is the one for the ESC, which you can see at the bottom here of the screen. Other than that, you have the current, which is the power that's flowing through the board, voltage of the board. We have a bit of information here, such as any errors that occur with the board. You can have the start ride feature, so you would have to enable your location and it's going to do a recorded ride with you. And as soon as that happens, you're going to have a log that happens right here. So as you can see, I don't have any logs on my phone, but this is where all your logs would go after when you ride your board.
Okay, thank you. And Charles, if I'm a newbie and I don't know much about the different component of my board, what does that mean, the temperature of the ESC?
So ESC is pretty much the brains. It's the thing that controls the board, that keeps power pumping through the board. So obviously when you're pumping power through a component, heat is a byproduct of that. And it would affect the ESC temps the most. On our Super Sport models and most of our boards up to date, we've disabled our actual motor temperatures, just for adding an extra safety feature that we don't want our clients or our riders to fall off for any unknown reasons up to date.
And what information should I be aware of? Like that I should be like, okay, I should change something, or like I'm like it's too hot, or...
Yeah, so I mean, for ESC, the maximum temperatures that we can reach with it is about 75 to 80 C. That's when things start to throttle, and if it gets too hot, it will slow down. It will give you lower power outputs, and you're gonna feel it. It's gonna feel like you're going like 5 to 10 kilometers an hour. And until it cools down, it won't give you power output. After that, it'll give you full power output as soon as it's cool enough to run again.
Okay. Is there any other information I should be aware of?
Yes, of course. So there's one last thing. Depending if you have a Falcon gear drive or if you have a belt drive, you can change your drivetrain, and you can figure out that here we have the motor teeth and we have wheel teeth. So this is depending on the gear ratio that we're running. So usually with our stock Super Sports, we run 72T on the wheel and then 18T for the motor pulley. For Falcons, it's a different ratio. We have 59 on the wheel, and then we have 14T on the motor. And the last thing is that the KVs, the motor KVs are different on both our Super Sport lineup and the 12S lineup, the original boards. On our original boards, it's 190 kV, and on our Super Sports, it's 130 kV.
Okay, so I gotta make sure to make the proper change before going for a ride. Otherwise, the information that I might receive from my phone are not right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So all of these values kind of matter except for the pull of the motor. Just remember, if ever you're using 8-inch tires, 8 inches, 200 millimeters approximately, you know, if you burn a little bit of tire tread, it's going to be a lower number. If you're swapping to different size wheels, you want to change this number. That's about it for this app overall.
Okay. Any other information I should know, or I'm ready to go?
You should be ready to go after this one.
Okay, so when someone just bought his board and go for a first ride, sometimes we receive a few emails saying, oh, the battery percentage is way too high. At that point, it means that they probably didn't change the proper setup for the battery, right?
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Here. Okay, thank you, Charles. That was really useful for the Stormcore app. Now, you said the app that we can use on both phones is a XIAOXIANG app, right?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So this is specifically for monitoring the cell health and the charging process. If ever you really need to, usually this is what we need for support, if ever you have any issues. But here we are. The way you're going to read it is there are devices that are going to pop up on your screen. It won't find your unit directly. So you're going to have to figure out which one has the strongest signal around you, and it's going to either be labeled as JBD or something like XIAOXIANG BMS. So here I can see that I have one that's kind of a little bit high. I'm going to connect to it. I'm going to try and connect to it here. And it should take a moment for it to load up all the configurations.
Okay, while it's loading up, Charles, if I'm like just a regular rider, I don't care much about the information of my board, should I really use that app, or that app is really if I want to learn more about my battery and go deeper in my knowledge?
I believe it's more deeper. In my personal opinion, you're going to have an easier experience using the Stormcore app. Once you get into this app, things become a little more complicated because you're learning about more of the voltages of cell groups, you're learning about more internals of the batteries, temperatures, safety features.
Okay, and in which occasion should I use that app? Only if I see some battery issue?
If you're feeling like you have less range, maybe some sort of battery issue, it's good to open up this app, take a couple screenshots of everything that you're seeing right here on the screen. It helps us figure out what's going on with your board, if anything is wrong.
Okay, perfect. And is there anything I should change into it, or just read the information that are there?
So the first page is always the best page because it has all the information labeled out right in front of you on iOS specifically. All the numbers that you see here is every single cell group. So I talked about earlier that we had 18 series for our Super Sports. So you're going to see 18 different sets of voltages that add up to your battery's total voltage.
So I guess if I'm running an OG Nazario or OG Lone Star, it's going to be 12.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm learning.
And so other than that, once you look at these numbers, you might figure out that maybe something's wrong. Nothing is ever the same. Well, nothing is really ever the same. That's the thing. The batteries will end up balancing out at the end of the day once you start charging. This is why we tell you, always use a slow amp charger. Charge your battery slowly. Give it time to balance. Keep riding. Keep charging. Everything is going to level out as you ride and go.
But you just said that it's better for my cell to use the slow charger. But what if I purchase the fast charger? Will that affect my battery?
So a few videos ago, we told you that it's always best to use the 8 amp charger whenever you have a chance to. If you need to use the 12 amp charger, that's perfectly fine. You just want to make sure that you're using the 8 amp most of the time. Keep things slowly balancing over time. You use it when you can.
So if I got the 2 charger, I should once in a while switch between the chargers, so charge it slowly and sometimes charge it fast when I need to get back on my board.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And that's pretty much it for this app.
Okay. All right, perfect, Charles. We went through the Stormcore app, the XIAOXIANG app, and now the third one, the VSC tool. That is also a really, really, really useful one. So guide me through the VSC tool.
Okay, sure. So the way it's gonna work is that we're gonna make sure our board is on. Our color code is still gonna be there. So we're gonna begin here on VSC tool. We're gonna open it, and it's gonna already start looking a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
So first, we're gonna start with scanning.
Okay.
So we have to scan for our Stormcore. As you can see, it's going to load in every single Bluetooth device that's around, and every time you try and scroll down to find your Stormcore, which is at the bottom, it's going to keep loading in and bringing you back to the top. So wait a minute or two, maybe a little bit less, and then click your Stormcore and connect to it.
Okay.
So at the bottom, you're going to see that it's going to connect to your board right there. So it's configured, it's connected. All right. So usually for Android users, it's always a good tool tip to back up your configurations for the board. We want to back up the configurations just in case if you touch something with your board and you mess up some sort of setting, you can always restore it afterwards. So we're going to back up here, press OK.
So this is the first thing I should do when I receive my board.
If you plan on using Vesc tool as a regular sort of basis type of thing, back up your board first, and then you have the settings.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And remember, restore is at the bottom of the page, so you just restore the backups, and then you're good from there. Okay. So the only real useful information that you'll ever get from using Vesc tool is by going to RT data. So you're going to scroll from left to right, and then you're going to have all your settings. You can scroll down, and you're going to have even more better data. Here you're going to have speed, you're going to have power, you're going to have how much battery you have, and it's going to show you your trip that you had as long as you're not spinning your board in air.
So that means I can have my speed in real time, but on my phone.
Yes, on real time.
Okay.
So the only thing that's kind of not great about VSC tool is the fact that you can't record any of your data on the tool.
Okay.
At least not for now.
Okay. Maybe one day.
Other things past this is that we have profiles, we have other settings that are a part of the tool that are a little bit touchy. So we don't recommend going through these settings. Changing any of the settings on the board might lead to something wrong. That's why we have the restored configurations. That's why we talked about it. But if you're on your board, you just need to check your battery levels. If you're trying to make a statement about something, just make sure you're not touching or fiddling with the app so that you're clicking the wrong thing at the wrong time.
So pretty much I'm using the VSC tool to know my speed, to know the battery that is left in my board. Otherwise, I don't really need the VSC tool if I'm a newbie. But if I want to develop my knowledge, there might be some useful information that are in the VSC tool.
So I mean, usually it depends. If you're having trouble with your board, we're gonna help you out. But if you're not having any trouble, it's best to just keep the board at the settings it is. It's the best recommended settings that we can keep for our boards. So touching anything is not recommended.
Otherwise, if you would like to have a little more information about the VSC tool, make sure to write to the support@likeMyBoard.com email, and we will provide you the extra information. Okay, Charles, so we've seen the Stormcore app, we've seen the XIAOXIANG app on Apple, well, on iPhone, and we've seen also the VSC tool for Android. Now, to finish, we also have the XIAOXIANG app, but for the Android. What's the difference between the two?
The difference is only the main screen. So on the main screen, you're just going to see differences in signal. So if you find the lowest signal and you find your BMS app, you're just going to connect to it, and it's going to kind of look more or less the same as the Apple one, except it's a little bit more complicated. So here I'm just going to find it really quick, and I'm going to connect to the strongest signal because my phone is right on top of my enclosure. And
But you mean the weakest signal? That you
yeah,
have to
the
connect
weakest.
to. Yeah, you said the strongest.
Well, it's the strongest signal, but it's based off of how low the number is.
Okay, perfect.
Right?
Thank you.
So here at the start screen, you're gonna see everything. You can touch this and see your total voltage and your mileage and everything. You can go to the side here to battery states. You're gonna see everything from total voltage, and you're gonna see all the voltages of your cells. It's the same concept as the first app. It's just a little bit different on the UI and layout of the app overall.
And while we're here, what's the proper battery voltage we should have?
Should be about 4.1 per cell and about 73 volts on total voltage.
Okay, thank you. Otherwise, anything else I should know about the XIAOXIANG app?
That's about it.
All right, thank you, Charles. All right, guys, that was it for the tutorial about the application. We've been through the one for the iPhone, the one for the Android. If you still have some questions, please make sure to write us an email at support@laquaboard.com. Otherwise, if you're not comfortable with the different application we show you, please don't play too much in the app. Otherwise, you might change the setting of your board, and this is not something you want. Otherwise, make sure to go outside, wear your protective gear, and have a nice ride.
Cheers, guys.
All right.